March 26, 2022. A little-known historical fact about the scapegoat. In modern culture we think of a scapegoat as one who takes the blame when something goes wrong. Another synonymous term in modern culture is the fall guy. Many are unaware that this is a biblical concept and that the term scapegoat comes from the Bible. However, as more than 90% of things in popular culture, we have the interpretation absolutely backwards. Leviticus 16:8 And Aaron shall cast lots upon the two goats, one lot for the Lord, and the other lot for the scapegoat. 16:9 And Aaron shall bring the goat upon which the Lord's lot fell, and offer him for a sin offering. 16:10 But the goat, on which the lot fell to be the scapegoat, shall be presented alive before the Lord, to make an atonement with him, and to let him go for a scapegoat into the wilderness. As the Bible here shows us, the scapegoat was the one set free, and the goat for the Lord was sacrificed. So, with respect to modern culture, the scapegoat is not the fall guy who takes the blame. The scapegoat is the one who is actually guilty, but gets away scot-free without the consequence of his guilt. The priest would lay hands on the head of the scapegoat, symbolically transferring the sins of the people to that goat, but then the priest would not kill that symbolically sinful goat. He would let that one go free, and he would kill the symbolically innocent goat. Why would he do that, Pastor? The symbolism was of Jesus, the only one innocent of all sin, being sacrificed for us, the seed of Adam, filled with sin. We, symbolized by the scapegoat, are justified, and set free. At the actual crucifixion, Barabbas was the scapegoat. He symbolized us, and absolutely had to be there or the crucifixion could not have taken place. So his presence in the crucifixion narrative was as vital to salvation as you and I are. The little-known fact about the scapegoat, most likely hidden by the chief priest, was that historically a cord was tied to the scapegoat, red with the blood of the Lord's goat. When the scapegoat was released, the cord would turn white in the sight of all people watching. This miracle symbolized that the sacrifice of the nation had been accepted by God. Knowledge of this practice was suppressed, like the truth of the last election in our times, even to the point where it is cited as a legend, rather than a commonly known fact, because in the year 30 AD the cord stopped turning white, which would have been a huge embarrassment for the chief priest and his other governmental cronies. As it were, a witness of their illegitimacy from heaven itself. This rejection of the national sacrifice took place the very next year after the crucifixion of the Lord Jesus Christ. This was proof positive that God was no longer accepting the blood of bulls and goats to atone for sin, now that the true sacrifice had been made once and for all. The people in power would have suppressed this knowledge just like they suppressed the knowledge of the resurrection. Matthew 28:12 And when they were assembled with the elders, and had taken counsel, they gave large money unto the soldiers, 28:13 saying, Say yeah, his disciples came by night, and stole him away while we slept. 28:14 And if this come to the governor's ears, we will persuade him, and secure you. 28:15 So they took the money, and did as they were taught, and this saying is commonly reported among the Jews until this day. The reason is because they wanted to remain in power, regardless of the truth, and the fact that their lie would directly lead to the destruction of the nation in just one generation. They were of the same wicked vein as today's ultra-liberal politicians, and their results will be the same. Isaiah 32:5 The vile person shall be no more called liberal, nor the churl said to be bountiful. The chief priest continued to present the sacrifices as Moses had instructed for the next 40 years, the first generation transition period, while God was dealing with both the nation of Israel, and the church at the same time. His dealing with Israel as a nation was suspended in 70 AD when the temple, and the nation of Israel were destroyed. His dealing with Israel as a nation resumed on May 14, 1948 when the nation of Israel was reborn. God is again dealing with the nation of Israel and the church at the same time. Ours is that overlapping transitional generation that Jesus said would not end before all things, spoken of in the Olivet Discourse, were complete. More specifically the generation living between 1948 and the rapture of the church. This overlap will only last until the soon coming rapture of the church, when God will continue his dealing with Israel in the 70th week prophesied by Daniel. While the church exists on the earth, no sacrifice of bull and goats will be acceptable to God, but when the church is raptured and all things revert back to the law for the tribulation period, sacrifices will resume and be a strong draw for the nation of Israel as they behold their likely acceptance again, for a short period of 3.5 years. Thank you for reading. Please share freely.